Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be crocheting Doodlebob, but this time the big version. I hope you guys like this tutorial. Let's get started. We're going to be using white acrylic yarn, black acrylic yarn, a Sharpie, a pair of scissors, white and black felt fabric, and a 5.5 hook. Please make sure you also have fabric glue on hand. I use any brand, doesn't matter. So we're going to make a slip knot and we're going to chain 40, and then after that I want you to make 39 single crochets, okay? Alright, so we just made our first row and we're going to need 41 more rows, okay? So obviously pause the video. This is what you should end up having, and make sure you have 2 of these, okay? We're going to be making 2 of these. This is the front and the back. Okay, so we're going to be making our sides. We're going to make a slip knot and we're going to chain 7. Then you're going to want to make 6 single crochets. After that, we made our first row. We're going to be needing 41 more rows, just like the big squares, okay? Okay, so we just made one of the sides. We're going to repeat the same exact steps, okay, just to make the other side. Okay, so now we're going to be making the top and the bottom. You're going to make a slip knot and you're going to chain 40. Then after you chain 40, we're going to make 39 single crochets. After you have your 39 single crochets, we made our first row and we're only going to be needing 5 more rows for a total of 6, okay? You're going to want to repeat the same steps for the bottom, okay? So we have our top and we have our bottom. Now we're going to put our white yarn to the side and bring out the black yarn. I like to start with my left side piece and my main front piece. We're going to start attaching these together. It's really easy. All I want you to do is put the corners together and align them as best as you can. Then you're going to insert your hook into both corners of each piece, and with the black yarn, all you're doing is just single crocheting all the way down the edges, okay? It's nothing more than that. Do not worry about how many single crochet stitches you have. It's not going to matter. We're all going to have different numbers. As long as you just have the edges aligned as best as you can. You're gonna watch right now, I'm actually struggling to get my hook through because there's no actual stitch. I'm just working in the uneven edges, but don't worry about that. So this is what you should have left, okay? This is the left side piece and the front piece attached. Now after that, I want you to grab the bottom piece and we're going to be doing the same exact thing. This is what I ended up having after single crocheting the front and bottom pieces, okay? Now we're going to be grabbing the right side and we're going to be doing the same exact thing with the right side piece. And hopefully you get the hang of it by now. Okay, so this is what I ended up having after single crocheting the right side piece. And right here, I just like to cut a tail. So we're going to do that. We're going to cut a tail and we're going to pull it right through. Before we get the back piece attached, you're going to notice we have these little open slits from the side pieces and the bottom pieces. So we're going to be attaching those together right now. But first, we're going to pull through all these really annoying tails on the inside. Okay, so once you have your tails pulled through, we're going to align the corners as best as we can, and just like everything we've been doing, we're going to insert our hook into the corners of both pieces. We're going to pull the yarn through and we're going to chain one. You don't have to chain one, but it's a little bit easier to do that. And I chain one and then I just single crochet until I can't anymore, and then I'll show you how I finish off. So here I am making my final stitches, and when I don't have any more white spaces to single crochet into, I just insert my hook into a random black stitch. This is what we made before by single crocheting the other edges. I don't know if that makes sense, but there's going to be a black stitch there, and just insert your hook and pull a loop and then single crochet. Once you have your single crochet done, like how I'm doing here, all you want to do after that is grab your scissors and cut a tail and then pull the tail right through. And we're going to be repeating the same exact steps for the other corner. So yeah. Okay, so once we have our corners all single crocheted shut, we're just going to pull our tails through, just like we did in the beginning. Just insert your hook into a random stitch as close as you can, and then just pull your tails through on the inside like I'm doing here. Now that we have everything attached, it's going to be so much easier to finally grab our back piece, and we're going to be doing the same exact thing we did before. We're just going to single crochet all the edges, and this one's easy because it's just one continuous line, and this is what you should end up having. So we're actually not going to be attaching the top yet, obviously, because we're going to begin by stuffing. So this part is completely up to you. You can stuff as firm or as little as you want. Just keep in mind that the more you stuff, the rounder he might get, and it's not going to look good. So if you notice, I'm stuffing and then I like to massage it, kind of just patting it and spreading my hands around to try to get it to the edges as close as I can. Just like this. See, I'm just patting it down and giving him a little massage, and just keep doing that until you have your stuffing to your liking. Once you have your Doodlebob stuffed to your liking, we're going to be attaching the top, and I know it's going to look freaky. Like, it looks like this, and you're going to be thinking, how the hell am I going to, single crochet this shut? Trust me, you will be able to. I like to start with the side right here. It's just easier for me. You can start wherever you want, but again, same thing as we did before. We're just going to pull our hook through and align the pieces as best as we can. It's going to be a little tricky, but all you're doing is just single crocheting all the edges, all four sides, just like we were doing before. Okay, so we're going to begin by single crocheting the pant line. I like to put mine somewhere around here so that it gives me enough space for the face details like the eyes, the nose, the mouth. You can put your pant line as high or as low as you want, just please put some space. Okay, so you can use stitch markers if you want, but the best way to do it for me is I just insert my hook into a random black stitch exactly where I want my pant line to be. And we're also going to be leaving a long tail, so please make sure you leave a long tail. We're going to chain one, and then after we chain one, we're going to turn our work upside down like this. It's just going to make things so much easier. And we're about to do this thing called surface crochet, where we're going to insert our hook into the white stitches and we're going to pull up loops and single crochet across the white. So you see how I'm inserting my hook, pulling a loop, and then single crocheting to finish. And then we're going to do the same thing in the next white stitch, just like that. Putting our hook through, pulling a loop, and single crocheting. I really hope you understand, but this is the best way to get a line across. And you're just going to do that. Doesn't matter if it's a little crooked, he's not meant to be perfect, so don't worry about making it perfect. So here I am at my final few stitches and I'm going to show you how I finish off. Again, I'm just inserting my hook into the white stitch and single crocheting on top of it. And I'm going to do that until the very last white stitch. Now after that, there's no more white stitches, so you just insert your hook into the black stitch right next to it and pull up a loop, single crochet, and then cut a long tail. So we start with a long tail and we finish with a long tail. You're going to pull your tail through to secure it. And now all we're doing is turning our work right side up, and then we're going to pull our tails through. I'm just inserting my hook into a random spot and pulling my tails through so that way they're not visible. Okay, so now for the best and messiest part in my opinion, we're going to be making the face details with black and white felt fabric and the fabric glue. Make sure you have your scissors. Doodlebob has a lot of facial expressions, so you don't have to pick the same exact one that I choose. If you guys have seen my Doodlebob post on my Instagram and my small Doodlebob tutorial, you could see that I gave him an angry looking face with an open mouth, but this time I'm choosing something a little different. So for the eyes, you're just going to want to cut 2 big black circles and 2 big white circles. Now, the big white circles, you're actually going to use the black circles as a reference. You'll see in a second. Hold on. Okay, right here. So with the white felt fabric, I like to use the black circles as a guideline. But if you notice, the 2 big black circles are going to be acting as like an outline. So once you finish cutting your 2 big white circles, you're going to trim them a little bit. You're going to trim the edges a little bit so that they could be a tiny bit smaller than the black. I'm going to be doing it right about here, I think. Yeah, so here you're just trimming the 2 big white circles so that they can fit a little bit smaller on the inside. So after I get my 2 big white circles to how I want them, I like to use the white circles as a guideline a little bit, and I just trim the black edges just because they're a little too thick right now, and I just prefer them to be a little thinner. It's completely up to you though, you don't have to do exactly the same thing I'm doing. So here I'm going to be doing the nose. It's pretty easy. I always get it right on the first try. You're just cutting a black circle and then cutting a white circle. Same thing, using the black circle as a guideline, and then you're just going to trim the white edges of the white circle and making it a little bit smaller so that it fits inside. Now, the pupils of the eyes are a little bit more difficult because of how small they are, and you have to be a little bit more precise in how you shape them. So it's the same thing as the two big circles. You're just cutting small black circles and then smaller white circles to fit on top. Now I'm going to be making the mouth. I'm actually using my felt sheet. Like, I have a piece right here that's perfect. I'm just cutting a random line, and then I'm going to trim the sides or the width or whatever. See, right now it's too big, so I'm going to make it thinner, and it's a little too long, so I'm going to trim the edges. It's pretty easy. You're just eyeballing it and cutting as you go. Now for the teeth, I'm going to be using black felt fabric, and I'm going to be cutting 2
rectangles
to make the teeth, okay? Now, same deal with the circles. We're going to be using the black rectangles as a guideline for the white rectangles, and then we're just going to trim the white rectangles to fit inside the black rectangles, okay? Really easy. Okay, so the tie is really easy to do. You're gonna grab a black felt fabric sheet and you're just going to cut a triangle. I like to cut the corner like that so I have an easy triangle, and then I just fix it up if I have to, and then I use a different corner to make the rhombus looking shape. And all you're doing is just cutting 2 lines, one like this and then another one like that. And then you're gonna see you have your perfect rhombus, and just like the white shapes, we're going to use these guys as guidelines, and we're going to trim down the white to fit inside the black, okay? I hope this part made sense, because the tie can be a little confusing, but it's just a triangle and a rhombus, and boom, you're done. Okay, so now for the eyelashes. In some pictures, Doodlebob won't have eyelashes, but I always like to add. These are really annoying to do. I'm so sorry, but you're just cutting a strip of black like this. Make it as thin or as thick as you'd like. And then once you have your strip of black, you're just going to cut little pieces like this, and you're gonna have 6 of them. You can have as many as you want, but if you want to keep it as true to the picture, then you're gonna need 6. But yeah, no, I hate doing the eyelashes, but it's just not Doodlebob without the eyelashes. Okay, so we finally have all our pieces. Now this is the worst part because my fabric glue, as soon as I open it, it likes to spill out. So please have a piece of fabric or something that you don't care about to have on your desk, because as soon as I put my fabric glue down, notice how I put it on the top of a piece of fabric, because if not, it's going to get everywhere and it's not fun. I like to start by gluing the white pieces on top of the black pieces, and I try to start with the pieces that are not so complicated, like the nose, the tie. The mouth is a little different because it's more pieces now than a big circle like I had in the other tutorial, but the eyes are the most complicated, so I'm leaving that for last. And you're pretty much just gluing them and then putting them to the side so that they can set, okay? Now for the eyes, you're actually going to want to take everything apart, and this part right here was annoying because my hands were full of like glue residue, so it got annoying trying to get the little pieces to get unstuck from my skin. But yeah, you're just going to remove everything until you have your two big circles, the black circles and the white circles, and you're going to start with those first. I like to glue the white on top of the black. And then I like to go ahead and glue the small white circles on top of the small black circles. And then I like to glue the small black circles on top of the big white circles. And I always like to place them in a weird, crazy way, like not even at all. Like in the picture, one is higher than the other. You don't have to do it this way, but I just prefer doing it this way. Okay, the lashes, the worst part, because you have to be so tedious with it. You're just going to put a little bit of glue at the very end, not the whole thing, and then you're just going to apply it as best as you can on top of the big white circles. Mine came out a little bit uneven, but again, he's a cartoon character in a cartoon. He's a little drawing, so he's not meant to be perfect. And yeah, this part is really, really hard, but just try to glue it as best as you can to wherever you want them to be. Okay, so once you finally have everything glued, we're not going to glue it on top of the plushie. We're going to give it 3 to 5 minutes to set, because if not, things can go wrong. So just give it a bit of time to set. Okay, so at this point, you should be able to start gluing everything down. Make sure you have it placed exactly where you want it to be before gluing it down. After you finish gluing everything down, give it 3 to 5 minutes to set again. Okay, so this part right here is completely optional. I like to give my Doodlebob plushies eyebrows, even if he doesn't have eyebrows in the reference photo. He could be smiling, he can be happy, he could be angry, it doesn't matter. I have to add eyebrows because it just doesn't feel like Doodlebob without the eyebrows. So yeah, I just added So if you watched my other tutorial, you would have seen that I used a black Sharpie to color in the little bits of glue that peek out through the edges of the little pieces we make. So this is optional, you don't have to do it, but I like to do it just because it makes me feel better. Most of the time this doesn't happen unless you use too much glue on the pieces you glue down, but yeah, I just like to sharpen it up a little bit, that's all. Alright, so we're going to be starting with the legs. Now, this part is easy. You can use single crochet, half double, double crochet, doesn't matter, but I'm going to be using single crochet for this. So we're going to be inserting our hook into a random spot wherever you want. and then we're going to chain 18. Please make sure you leave a long tail for later. Now we're going to be making 1 double crochet in the next 3 stitches, and then after you make your double crochets in the next 3 stitches, we're going to just single crochet all the way down until we meet back with the other tail, okay? So here I'm showing my last single crochet stitches. I have 1 here, and then on my last one, which I'm about to make right now, I don't finish it fully. I just pull a loop and then I cut the tail, a long one just like the first one, and then I'm going to pull through like that. And then once I have those, I like to tie the both tails a few times just to secure them. And then once you finish tying your knot, you're just going to insert your hook into a random stitch like I'm doing here, and then pulling both tails through. And you're going to repeat the same exact steps into your other leg, wherever you want to place it, okay? Okay, so repeat the same steps, and remember, you can make the legs as close or as far apart as you want. Okay, so now we're going to be doing the arms. I like to use the little pant line as a guideline, and I like to put my arm a little bit above. So I'm going to insert my hook and I'm going to pull up a loop. And again, just like the legs, we're going to leave a long tail, and we're just going to chain up until we meet above his head. So don't even count. You don't have to count your chains that you're going to be making. Just as long as it goes above his head. That's all that matters. Okay, so just like I'm doing here, I'm just chaining until I'm above his head, and we're going to single crochet all the way down. And just like we did with the leg, we're going to single crochet until we can't anymore. And once you made your last single crochet, you're just going to pull out a tail as long as the other one. You're going to tie a few knots to secure it, and then using my hook, I'm going to insert my hook into a random stitch and pull both tails through. And you're going to repeat the same exact steps on the other side, okay? Okay, so the hands, we're going to be using white for the last time. We're going to chain 9. After we make our 9 single crochets, we're not going to turn our work. We're actually just going to chain 6 going up. So you finish your 9 single crochets and you're going to chain 6. Once you chain your 6, you're going to single crochet all the way down, and you're also going to make a single crochet into that little space that we'll be having right here in the middle. I don't know if you guys can see it, but there's a little space right there. You're going to insert your hook through there, and then you're going to chain 7. Once you finish single crocheting of your chain 7, you're just going to slip stitch into that middle space. There should be like a little space right there. You can single crochet or slip stitch, it's up to you. And after I do that, I like to cut a tail. Oh no, wait, I'm adding a slip stitch right here, my bad. So that's where my slip stitch is gonna be. So after that, I like to cut a tail, and then after cutting my tails, I like to tie knots with the white tails right here just to secure it. And then after I tie my knots and I feel that it's secure enough, I will then take my scissors and I'm gonna cut very close to the base, but without getting it to unravel. You're gonna see that in a second. So right here, I bring my scissors and I just cut as close as I can. And you're gonna make 2 hands, so just repeat the same steps. Okay, so at this point, you're going to want to take your white yarn and put it to the side or put it away because we're no longer going to be needing it anymore. We're going to bring out our black yarn for the last time, and we're going to just single crochet a border around the hands just to give it that like character outline. And please use a slip stitch, not slip stitch, a stitch marker if you would like to. It doesn't really matter because you'll see how we finish it off at the end, but you're just going to put your hook through whatever stitch you want, chain 1, and then just begin single crocheting around whatever stitch you can find. And I'm going to meet you when I get to the back. I'm finally back, and the last thing I do is I just insert my hook into that first black stitch that we made, so right about here. And then once I have that, I just cut a tail, and this part's going to be a little confusing, so just bear with me. You're going to cut a tail and you're going to pull through, and then I like to attach my hands to the arms using the tail. So I'm going to grab my arm, and then I'm just going to put my hook through and just pull in both tails one by one. It can be a little difficult to do at first, but you'll get the hang of it. You just take the tail, pull it through, and do the same exact thing with the other tail, but try to put your hook through a different stitch, or it doesn't matter. Yeah, you're just going to pull both tails through, and then once you have that, I'm just going to tie it a lot just to secure it. Once I feel that it's secure enough, I grab my scissors and I just cut to the base as close as I can so that it won't unravel. And yeah. Please make sure to repeat the same exact steps on the other arm. You're just doing the same thing to attach the hand to the arm. And we are finally complete with our big Doodlebob plushie. I really hope this tutorial was helpful for you guys. I hope you guys understood everything that was mentioned. I will be making a separate tutorial for his pencil soon. This is what he looks like next to little Doodlebob. Please look out on my Instagram because I will be making commissions soon for both little and big Doodlebob. So yeah, hope you guys enjoyed it. Please like, subscribe, comment, let me know how I did. We got the pencil tutorial coming very, very soon. They're very easy to make. And just look out for the commissions post, okay? Hope you guys enjoyed. Okay, bye! Wait, no. Bye!